Okay, so hopefully, I'm in my room, so sometimes like the sound isn't very good if it's sitting on sheets, but looks good. The microphone looks like it's doing okay. So just a little brief thing. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll see how that goes. About what God cares about. A lot of people like to sort of write off the things that God cares about, like, oh, God doesn't care about that, or if he cares about that, then you know they don't even that they just kind of trail off after that. They just can't imagine that God could care about something so small and minuscule, and then he's ridiculous, and I don't care anyway, because why do you care about that? And I recently heard someone's testimony of heaven, and they had I don't remember how they got there. I don't remember if they died, or I think it might have been like a suicide attempt or something. But anyway, that's not even the point. The point is they were there, and there was this angel that was there who was like small. And I've heard this many, many times where, there's huge, ginormous angels. There are small, tiny ones that, look like fairies, I guess. I don't know. Um, But, the more that I hear about that, it's like, well, that makes sense, because, I mean, first of all, the idea that all of these stories that we have kind of just like came out of someone else's imagination, and then that's it, and it never derived from anything, like they just came up with it, is really just not a sustainable idea. Giants, leprechauns, whatever. You know, you really need to just like get over yourself and realize, like, no, there's not a long standing tradition of just human imagination just coming up with concepts that have never been around. Especially seeing how the way that we recycle things, it's just not. These things are real. Giants existed. We know that, for sure. We know a lot of things, and we're probably going to uncover more. So people probably saw things, as much drugs is out here and whatnot, and however long, and rituals, and you've got to, at some point, you have to reconcile. If there's going to be if we're going to have a long history of worshiping gods, doing these rituals, coming up with these strange stories, etching them on the sides of buildings, that takes forever. Why would somebody spend years of their life sculpting a story that's just a story just to entertain, in the ancient world, where no one had time to be entertained to that degree? Everyone was working, or slave, or being enslaved. Like, so at some point you have to like put in the memory hole like some actual real, you have to say, okay, maybe some of this stuff is coming from a source, and it's not just dismissed as, oh, this was ancient people who knew how to make things out of bronze that we can't even recreate right now. Maybe they were just wasting their time, and now we're doing the productive things because we don't believe in any of that stuff. Like, I don't know, just put it together. Just acknowledge, and just come to grips with the fact that magic, anything that you think belongs in a book, in a fantastical realm, has its place here first, somewhere. It's either invisible or not. I mean, that makes more sense. It makes more sense that all these things would be based in reality than all the stuff being invented uh painstakingly for literally just our own amusement. That's just it's not, it doesn't make sense. I mean, Movies are only 100 years old. That's the first time that it's ever profited majorly for a small group of people to create stories for the mass to ingest. So that's only been around like, the last blink of human civilization. The rest of the time, honestly, like whatever. So anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so she saw there's a small angel, and that angel, I don't know if that was his whole job or what, but basically he had a record of everything she had ever said or thought or anything. So that, I mean, that sounds crazy and weird, but it sounds crazy and weird if you're never like thinking about these things. But the reality is, if God exists, if you're going to entertain the thought that there is a God in the sense of one God who created everything, then you're going to have to really, really like stew in these implications. Um, this guy is infinite. He doesn't have limits at all. Why does he not have time to care about your little thing? That exists here because we have 80 to 120 years. We are flawed, imperfect. We can only see a few versions of known visible light. We know that there's other forms of light that we can study that are not visible. Ultraviolet light exists, you know, infrared light exists. We know they exist. We can't see them. Okay. So we are limited in in very many ways. So yes, here we have to choose what we care about. There's billions of people. A lot of them are full of crap. That was just my random thing. Hey, I'm doing something right now. Oh, are you just getting that and leaving? Please close my door when you go out.
Yes, ma'am.
So yes, that's for us. God can care all until the end of time, which doesn't is not a thing. I mean, he created time and then we're gonna go on forever. So um better believe he has priorities. He still has priorities. It's not like everything's willy-nilly. But when you have infinite time, infinite resources, infinite everything, and you are literally love, the embodiment of it, and before it had a name, that's what you were, your priorities are going to be a little bit different. Um, in fact, it's really strange, like in a way, like it's almost always inverted to what ours are. I don't know if it's just the perfection, just the immortality. I don't know what causes it to be a direct inversion, but a lot of times it is inverted. So, the things that you don't think are important, the things that you don't think, you know, you know, all the things that we try to accomplish and we try to whatever. Usually, I mean, most people have said, if you've heard any type of stories, once people get to heaven, like all that stuff melts away, none of it's important. It's like, well, I spent all this time on this, and God's like, yeah, you did, and none of it was important. um so that happens a lot. So don't be surprised when the opposite is true. That thing that you didn't think was important at all, uh God is like, well, let's bring up this, thing that you did. And it's like, what? That thing that I spent like 2 seconds doing? Now, the good news is, if you fancy yourself a good person, or you think you have some goodness in you or whatever, this will be the time that it's going to come out, because um, God is bringing up the details and the subtlety and the choices that you did make and the choices that you didn't make. And all of those things are going to be brought into the light. So if you're someone who's feeble, who maybe didn't wasn't able to accomplish that much in life, who kind of got stepped on and kind of got overlooked or whatever. And so maybe this world you weren't capable of shining in it for whatever reason. Um, the a lot of the things that, what it takes to sort of be seen in this world requires you to do a lot of detestable things. So it wouldn't be a surprise that, the vast majority of people who are just doing their everyday job, um, even that is maybe a little too big picture, because God is really in the moments and the seconds and your thoughts and what's not, I wouldn't even say what's driving you. Even that is like it's too broad. It's too that's too human. It's like what the things that it takes for us to notice somebody standing out. It's a lot more. It's like a megaphone to God. Um so if you're a wicked person, or if you I would say if you are someone who doesn't really have an idea of what type of person you are, you're probably in the worst mess, because you're probably going to get some nasty feedback. You're going to get a nasty wake up call. The people who know that are wicked are not going to be terribly surprised, probably. Um, they might be a little bit sad, because they might have these little moments of goodness that God's going to be like, that was that was a moment where you focused on something good, but you didn't care about it, so it never went anywhere. And so they may not even know that they even had the capability to have a certain amount of goodness, and then to find out that they did. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I honestly, trying to get in wicked people's minds is exhausting. But the point is that God cares about everything that you do, and when you think about it, it's really proper, because let's say that there's gods, on the earth, and we all know about it. And it's a common thing. You worship these gods, they worship those gods, they worship this one kind of, whatever. And something happens, and or somebody gets sick or whatever, and so we call in, we get the shaman to come in, and he's doing his stuff, and he's like, oh yeah, I can't, this is too much for me, you're gonna have to go to the so and so. And so you go to the so and so, and you take it to, the main medicine man guy, and he goes, yeah, you're gonna have to push this up the chain. And then he goes to someone else, and then it kind of goes up and up and up and up and up. And then you get somebody super powerful, and he's, giving you a potion, and you're going into whatever, and you're going into your past lives and whatever, and they still can't get it figured out. And he's like, okay, well, this is gonna have to go up to heaven, because I don't know. And then it goes up even higher and higher and higher, and finally it gets to the person, the one that made all the other things that exist. And it gets to him, and he says, yeah, I can fix this. I can fix this, but first thing I need you to do is, you, on this such and such a day and such and such a time, you spoke this, and then when you were confronted about it, you lied. That caused this. I need you to undo that. I need you to repent of that, and then I can go in, and I'll do this. Doesn't that sound reasonable? Doesn't that sound like the main guy who has all the main doesn't it sound reasonable for him to be able to go into your whatever and say, "This is what I require." What else are you gonna give him? You're gonna give him blood, you're gonna give him money, you're gonna give him what? Your raggedy life? The only thing you can do for him is to rectify the thing that you defiled of his that he made. It's reasonable for the God of all gods to speak the way that the God of the Bible speaks. But when people get petty and they really want to do evil things and they really want to just be a mess, then they go, "Oh, look at this nitpicky." No, it's nitpicky now because you wanna do whatever you wanna do. Again, we're back to I don't know, maybe this is just a recent sometimes I get these sort of, seasonal lessons here, and a lot of it's coming back to how we want it we like it until we don't. We like it when it's working in our favor, and then when it's not, then we hate it, and then we have all these strong words about it. It's really insane how much it comes down to that because it's like, um, you know, it's nitpicky when you want to not have to deal with it. When it's about to be in your favor, then it's a great system. Then God is holy and he's just. Then when it's your turn, now he's nitpicky. So, yeah, I'm also noticing like God is consistent. Like I just was listening to I forget where it's at, but they were talking about how in the Bible, I'm listening to the audio Bible and he said, just as through one man, which is Adam, the world was condemned, through one man, Jesus, the world is saved. And it's like, oh yeah, that's just flat out consistency. Like he's so consistent about that. It's like, yes, he cares about every little sin you've committed. He also cares about every little sin that was done to you. He also cares about every little good thing that you've done. He said, if you're giving people if you're giving people drinks of water, a cup of water to one of my servants on my for me on my behalf, your reward's going to be great. And you read that and you go, wow, that's really like, and you kind of like how is he able to that just seems over the top. Well, no, it doesn't because he also is going to uh, go through every little detailed thing that you did that was not just. So I don't know if that means a lot of things are going to even out or what. I just know that God is consistent across the board and it makes sense for him to be that way, to be mega involved in what's going on in here and in here. Um, Mega involved meaning I think that's a big part of why this thing is so uh undetectable because eventually once you're alone, once you are not really thinking that anybody is watching or that anybody could possibly know or care or matter, your actions are different. In some ways, just like you're doing things that aren't supposed to be doing, you're also dancing around in your underwear. You're talking in weird voices. You're doing things that either bring joy or bring disappointment. And what was I going to say? So I don't. It's not like it's always been that way, but like I just think just for the time period, the generation that we're in, that's just how it is. Even things like you have a dream and it's a dream and you realize let's not make everything about sexual sin. Let's say that you have a dream that you're at a casino and it's a dream, so you gamble, pull everything out of your bank account in the dream and you get to the table because you're like, it's a dream, it's fine. No, it's not fine. You just That was a bullhorn of information right there. That you think when you think there's no consequences, when you think it doesn't matter, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. If there's no if I can't get in trouble for it. That is the information that God is after. That is the thing. So a lot of these things that we go, oh well, it doesn't matter. There's no, oh I can't get penalized for that. Oh, okay. Like and then you want to say, well, I didn't do anything because everything has been changed to, well, if you're not harming other people, if you're not harming other people or you didn't intend to harm other people, which is really just, I might try to unravel that one day, but it's misleadingly moral, but it's a hell of a trap because, and I have to really like think about that, like how I would whatever, but it really I really I hate any when to hear it brought up to people when I every time I hear it brought up, it just like pricks my ear. I'm just like, oh, because there's something in it that is just it's not there's just some rat poison in it. There's some rat poison in it, and I've never thought about it long enough to even care. But a lot of people get tripped up by it, so I might have to do a video on it one day. But so yeah, the very things that you think don't matter, whatever parameters are set up to make it seem like it doesn't matter is usually the exact environment that God is using to get real information out of us. And not only God, I mean, the spirit realm too. Just like that dream, there's people having dreams where they're having weird dreams where entities are coming to them and they're doing sexual things or bonding with them in some way. It's typically sexual. I mean, that's what I mean. What else? What are we doing? This is what collapsed society in the beginning. So, um, that you're putting out something that, yes, here in the natural, it doesn't matter that you're off in la la land in your mind, but in the spirit realm, the things that you're doing with your spirit, that's a whole different ball of wax. So yeah, there's things that you can speak that matter there, that don't matter here. There meaning just in a spirit in an invisible place. But there are things that you can do intentionally. Your intention is about all you got in the spirit realm. You know, your intention, your agreement is your, the permission that you give verbally or somewhere that you're giving off. Like, so there's lots of things going on here. It's not just a physical thing. And, the Bible is trying to teach you it. It's trying to teach you it, but imagine trying to learn something without ever doing it. Just learning about jumping out of a plane over and over and over and over. Eventually, either you're going to jump out of a plane and, let's hope that you remember any of your training. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so, uh, yeah, you're going to be confronted with some stuff and you're probably going to fail. I was just thinking about that today too. I was just thinking, how many times have we read in the Bible? It's like these men of God or men that God are using, we're reading about them. So obviously God is using them, but here comes an angel, here comes to this, and they're just like falling before the angel, like just their whole theology just goes out the door. It's like, whoa, don't worship me. No, get up, get up. It's don't be afraid. It's like you can learn, you can learn the Torah or whatever you learn your entire life. But then when you get confronted with that, with what's really going on out there, and you're just going, like that, like God has to calm you down. He's like, no, 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 it's fine. It's fine. Remember, Psalms, whatever, he's got to give you a scripture so you know it's him. It's like, he's just got to like, that's what's really going on out there. That Bible, if you in the moment when you're confronted with the really real, if you could remember anything from that thing, that's a good thing. So it's like the Bible is the manual, but it's not the end. You're gonna if God ever actually talks to you, he's gonna tell you something, you're gonna be like, what? And then he's gonna be like, you're gonna probably say, where's that in the word? You're really gonna have to say that like every 5 sentences, because the real is so challenging and it's so beyond what we're doing That's why we just have to die to get there, because it's like, to try and comprehend it on this side, it just takes a certain amount of discipline and humility and, uh, you know, because you might as well just wait till you die, and so you can just accept whatever is going on and not have to be subject to this right now. like, like, but if you want to know some stuff, it's like, if you don't have humility, first of all, just don't even try it. Don't even try it. And you got to love the truth more than everyone in your whole entire family, yourself included, and everything. So I would say you love the truth more than God, but that just sounds weird. But because I would think, well, if you say you love the truth more than God, then you're never in danger because God is the truth. But you'll still probably be in danger because we just have a way of twisting everything. But you got to love the truth to such a degree that that's where the humility comes in, because you're going to sound like a complete moron to just about everybody, and you're going to have to be okay with that. And sometimes you're gonna be like, "Ooh, all of that was wrong. My bad," and you're gonna have to go back on something, which also requires humility, and be like, "Yeah, that whole thing was wrong. Actually, that's on me, y'all. Sorry." So you're gonna have to do that like all the time. So, yeah, it's better to just wait and just do everything in faith. Do everything in faith, and just get the bonus points of just not being able to see anything and never having to be responsible for that type of knowledge. But some people love to get the knowledge. It's like, dude, that's a burden. Like, I'm just like, give me. I'll take the faith, and I'll just believe what you say. And then if I have to go back on that and be like, hey, you were actually wrong, then I can just do that, and I don't have to be like held responsible for whatever. So it's a safety measure. Just believe, and then you got to either decide to hold on to that belief or decide to let it go. Um, yeah, it does a lot, and this is a time of grace. This is a limited period of time. As more things get revealed and more things come to pass, the grace window closes, because what grace do you need? It's in your face. Now you've got to just make the right choice. You can't say you didn't know. So, all right, I think I'm done. It's getting like Grand Central Station in here, so I've got to go. It's kind of like the worst time to try and do a video. It's like when I'm supposed to be doing my mom stuff. So, all right. I hope any of that made sense. But yeah.